what went wrong with Vogel? I had gotten a source last night that said, some of the players, it's hard. You didn't get all buy-in. Yeah, 3 stars. You got to get buy-in from at least 2. Is that what you're hearing?
Sure, but I mean, no losing team has buy-in from everyone. That's what happens, right? Winning papers over everything, losing shows all the seams. To me, this is a bit of moving deck chairs around. I'm not going to call the Suns the Titanic. I would not go that far. Yeah. But there is a little bit of like, we can't really do anything else. They have one first-round draft pick for the next 6 years. Just one this coming year and this summer, and that's it. So they don't have roster flexibility. They've got these 3 huge contracts. They don't really have the ability to make a lot of changes to the supporting cast. You're not going to fire the owner that just came in and is the one behind all these changes. And it's not really fair to fire the front office because James Jones didn't make those trades. I mean, he physically made them and he facilitated them, but it was at the owner's directive. So really the only guy to make a change is in the coach's seat. I do not think Frank Vogel deserved to be fired. This is a championship coach, and I think it's going to be a mistake. But then again, Mike Budenholzer is a very good coach. I just don't see him being able to do more than Frank Vogel did in this situation. If the Suns have better health next year, that will certainly help them. So that's something they can do without having to make any roster changes. But they're still stuck with an extremely top-heavy team and at least one aging superstar. Yeah,
we say this all the time, is that, people want to hold you to a level of perfection. NFL general managers who are great miss all the time.
Yes.
And what you can't do is double down on wrong. The Giants on Daniel Jones, probably a reach. Don't double down on it.
Right.
I think you'd be doubling down here. They don't have a point guard. The Beal thing's not working. I think you can get a ton for Booker. Draft picks, capital, get younger around Kevin Durant, Beal. You can't move Beal his contract.
Yep.
To me, this feels a little New York Giant where it's, the construction doesn't work. Let's fire the coach and double down on it. I don't think this team, when I watch Minnesota play and OKC play and Dallas playing better than you think and Denver, this doesn't feel like a championship team.
To me, if you were going to make a big move, it's Kevin Durant who I would move if I were in that front office. And I'm sure that Kevin doesn't want to be moved again after all of the moving around he's done and the criticism he gets for that. But Devin Booker is still a star in the prime of his career.
Yes.
And I'm not sure you're getting anyone better than him. I'm not sure you're going to develop anyone better than Devin Booker has already developed into. So why not keep him and then move some of the other big pieces around? And unfortunately, Bradley Beal, as you point out, has a no-trade clause.
It's not working
and no real trade value right now and for what you get for him. And so I think if you are going to make a huge move, if I were in the front office, it would be Kevin Durant. But I don't anticipate them doing that. They've really signaled that they're going to stay with those 3 guys and see what else they can do. And I guess one of those things is changing the voice in the locker room. And if they have better health, Mike Budenholzer will look like a genius. But I don't expect them to win a championship with this roster that's so top-heavy.
So if you're the New York Knicks, there are 2 avenues that are interesting. First of all, Boston looks infinitely, if not beatable, you can compete with them.
Yes.
And we didn't think that.
They don't look invincible.
That's right. And the other thing is the East is going to get better next year. Dame and Giannis should be healthy. Yeah. Philadelphia's got a ton of cap room and draft picks. Boston will still be good. Orlando may add a piece. So you can look at the Knicks and go, this is the beginning. Or you can say the East is going to get better. It's really weak this year. So I think they're fascinating, Rachel, because there is almost a collegiate feel to them. There is a culture. We talk Heat culture.
Yeah.
But it's Tibbs culture. You got to be careful who you bring in.
Yes.
Now, Booker, I think, works, but Phoenix doesn't want to move him.
Yeah.
Durant, I'm not sure. What do you make of the Knicks going? We know they're competitive now. We don't think they're a title team. Now they're all beat up.
I was going to say, it's hard right now because there's just so many guys hurt.
but they're the talk of the league.
Oh. They're thrilling to watch. I mean, literally thrilling to watch play. And I don't care who you are, unless you're a fan of the other team that's currently playing them.
That's right.
You're having fun watching this Knicks team.
Great watch.
Because they're not only winning, they're so scrappy. They're playing basketball the way you want people to play basketball. They're tough as nails. They're rebounding. Josh Hart has played more minutes in playoff games than any other player in 45 years. That's the stat. It's been 45 years since the merger.
And he's doubled his
And by the way,
numbers.
it's probably before that too, but I'm just going since the ABA merger.
Right.
No one else has played more per game than he has. And so look, you love to watch them play, but you do think that they need deeper. They need a little bit more. If they just got their players back, by the way, I think that they could make a run to the finals this year, right? If they had Julius Randle, if they had OG Anunoby, who looks like we're not going to see him in the next game, you know, if they had full health, I would put them up against anyone in the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah.
But they will have room to make some moves. Unlike the Suns, they're not hamstrung. And it is interesting to see who's going to go. I think that they would be better off making a smaller move, like DeMar DeRozan has been bandied about, right?
Doesn't need the ball in his hands a lot.
Doesn't need the ball, as opposed to bringing in some big flashy player. Now, for Kevin Durant's story, I always thought that Kevin Durant should have gone to the Knicks instead of the Nets. So for me, watching Kevin Durant, I'd like to see him kind of right that wrong.
Yeah, great story.
But I don't know if that's what's best for New York. I just think that that would be great for Kevin Durant's story. I do know that Kevin Durant just wants to play basketball. And that is the common denominator in that Knicks locker room. And it will be interesting to see not only who they bring in this summer, but where they end up this time in this series. I still don't know what's going to happen in this Pacers-Knicks series. The Pacers keep seeming like they're being handed health advantages, and yet they're not coming through when it counts.
It was so crazy to me that Rick Carlisle went after refs and small markets when Brunson and OG were hurt, Randall Mitchell Robinson gone. It was there for the taking, and that was the easy win of the first two.
Look, I do think that some calls have gone against the Pacers more so than the Knicks in the first couple of games. They have. I mean, you can just look at the NBA's own final 2-minute report, those kinds of things. But that is never the reason that you win or lose playoff games in the aggregate. Maybe one game somewhere, one time with one bad call in the final few minutes. We saw that earlier this playoffs. But overall, when you're talking about there's 78 calls or whatever it was, that's not what makes the difference over a course of a series. What makes the difference is if you take advantage of your opportunities, and we're going to have to see the Pacers buckle down and do that at home. Otherwise, they're cooked.
The reality with American sports is the NFL is pushing its product globally, but gets its employees domestically.
Yes.
Whereas hockey, baseball, and the NBA, especially basketball, increasingly is becoming European-based. Now, it's good for the talent and skill level. Hockey's never been faster. Baseball's never been deeper. Basketball's never had 7-footers all hitting threes. But it's not always great in terms of domestic ratings. So the NBA is going to get their money. It's got stars. It's fast-paced. Young people like it. Apparel company. It's going to get its money.
Right.
But I do think it needs to face. I think Ant Edwards, and I didn't think this a year ago. I think I think his game is more refined. I think his ability to go to KD and say, he trash talk just enough. I wonder if NBA's pretty good about fun. You know, they didn't do it with Giannis. They put his playoff games on NBA TV. It does feel like we're watching the next face, and this is like the opening chapter. In 20 years, we'll go, remember the Denver series.
Absolutely, man.
Is that what you see?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, he's got the charisma off the charts, right? And the way he plays is so engaging. He brings you in every time he goes up to the basket. He's got no fear. He's just an exciting player to watch. The shoe, I think he's got the #1 selling shoe in America. The commercials are good.
Does.
I mean, it's a lot of that. You know, we make these early Michael Jordan comparisons. And he said the other day, I can never have the career of Jordan. And I think that is correct.
Yes.
I think, to your point about the international game, it is a different, deeper league.
No question.
You look at the number of guys who coming from other countries who are winning MVP, who are in the MVP race. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, by the way, is from Canada. Even he's not American.
Right,
so, by the way, you are getting just a deeper pool of talent to compete with. It's not the league where MJ won 6. It's not the league even where Kobe won 5.
Right.
And so I don't think anyone can have that career again. But we are seeing a guy who looks like Michael Jordan looked in his early years.
No question.
That is undeniable.
Right.
And it's not just on the court, although it is on the court. It's everything else that you're talking about. He is a star in the old-fashioned sense. And it's really exciting to watch. We'll see.
You know, I will say this. Here's the other advantage. Michael, it took a while to get the right coach. It feels like Ant has his. Also, the Celtics and the Pistons were living, breathing dynasties. There is no one in the West. We thought Denver could be it, and it looks like Denver is a Raptors story, closer to a Raptors story than a Warriors dynasty. I think they're better than that, but they could be a one and done or maybe a two-title team. So that's the advantage. It took Jordan, he spent a lot in college, and then it was, you forget when you watch the documentary, it was a long road.
Yes.
There was a lot of getting tackled by the Pistons. So the advantage this kid has is, he could be good. Like if he won this year, wow, now you're ahead of Michael.
100%.
Significantly ahead.
And by the way, if I were any of these younger players, if I was Luka, if I was Ant, I would get my winning in now, because I am still going to sit here in this chair every week and tell you I think that Victor Wembanyama is coming.
Yeah.
I think he is going to end up, again, health, injuries, we don't know what happens, but if all goes as expected, a top 5, 10 player of all time. And so I would get my titles in now, and I think that Ant Edwards certainly has a chance to do that. He's got a great team around him, too, and he's got the advantage of that, and we can't forget that. He's got a coach that he really responds to. Yeah. He's got Karl Anthony Towns. He's got an upcoming, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert. The whole concept, he's got a great bench. He's got Mike Conley, who's been one of the best playoff performers and just teammates and leaders that we've had in the last 2 decades. So he's got every advantage, and then he's taking advantage, and I think that those two things combined is we're seeing a winner. This kid's a winner.
Finally, my opening rant about an hour and a half ago was that we may be in an era in the NBA, which I grew up with the 70s, Sonics, Blazers, Warriors. They were called the Bullets back then. Elvin Hayes, Wes Unseld, Kevin Greavy. The teams were very good. They weren't great.
Yeah.
And I think we're staring at a bunch of very goods. I think all of us felt like Boston could be the one great. And then I watched them continually get whacked at home. They have a 500 home. That's historically bizarre.
Yeah.
As a dominant team, they're 500 at home. All dynasties roll at home. And I think, you know what? In an era of good, they're very good. But losses like last night are adding up, Rachel. And I'm like, maybe we have put them at about to be great. And maybe they have 2 players that are closer to Pippen than Kobe and Michael, and they're going to win a title, but have we gone like we do with the Cowboys every year? We've ratcheted up this when they're just very good.
I'm very curious your take on the mental aspect of this team, because you have seen it, and it's not just in basketball, right? So you've watched it across sports, teams that have almost gotten there and not, and what that does to you. Because the Boston Celtics, let's not forget, have made the conference finals 5 of the last 7 years. That's spectacular.
Yes.
That's incredible. Think about the franchises around the NBA who've had so much hope and promise and thunder and noise and media attention and haven't been able to match anywhere near that. However, they haven't been able to get it done. They only advanced to the finals once out of all those times, and they completely fell apart at the end of that NBA
and really
finals
had control of the series through about 3 games and fell apart.
Right. So what mental effect does that have on the team? And what effect does it have on the fans? Jason Tatum got up on the podium after last night's game and he goes, I know we're expected to be perfect, or some version of that. And I'm sure it feels that way to him, because here they are, a team that's made the conference finals 5 of the last 7 years. And every time they lose a game, people, see, the Celtics aren't for real. But the problem is when you don't get the ultimate goal done, even the middle part starts to feel sometimes a little bit squishy.
Yeah.
And I think they are feeling the loss of Kristaps Porzingis. Evan Mobley took advantage of that last night. Donovan Mitchell, who is a star, had a fantastic second half. And they're going to have to work for it in this series, because Kristaps is not expected to be back. That's what we're seeing in the Denver series too, by the way. I think that Nikola Jokic does have the mettle to lead Denver to be a dynasty, except for he's got to have someone like Murray next to him, and Murray is clearly hurt. So is Kristaps being hurt in this Celtics series? Is that what is going to do the Boston in, or are they going to be able to get through here and maybe get him back in the conference finals if they get there again?
Let's button it up with this. So Byron Scott is viewed as part of the Laker family.
Sure.
He coached, he played. It's very much a small business. Jeannie runs like a small business. And if you're family, you're family.
Yeah.
Norm Nixon's part of it, Worthy. Kobe's agent became GM. That's what the Lakers are. And Byron Scott says, just make LeBron the coach. I'm like, well, that's a family member. Now, it may be a second cousin.
Yes.
But it's a family member.
Well, former coach, too, as you said. He's been in that job.
What'd you make of that comment?
Look, an offhanded comment, I would say. We haven't seen that in the NBA in quite some time. We have seen it before, but... Lenny
Wilkins or Bill Russell?
Yeah, Bill Russell. There you go. Look, to me, the Lakers' problem was also not a coaching problem. I put that in the same Frank Vogel camp. Now, if you lose both stars, both LeBron James and Anthony Davis made it clear that Darvin Ham had lost them. And then it is hard to bring him back.
Yeah.
However, the Lakers have had 6 coaches in 13 years. And my hope with whoever they do bring in next is that they back him for the long haul. Because there will always be bumps in the road. There will be always times when your stars don't completely buy in to what you are doing. It's natural. Players get frustrated. High talented players who know what they can accomplish get frustrated, and they should. And you need not only a guy who can bring it all together, but an organization who backs him. And my hope is that whoever they find for this job is someone that the organization feels it can stand behind, so that even in those rough moments, sometimes you need the front office to say to the star, hey, work it out. Because this guy is here, and we think that he's doing an okay job.
I thought they were going to do that.
And we don't think he's the problem. Well, but that's not as the Lakers are set up, which is kind of how you end up with 6 coaches in 13 years. And I do wonder if they can bring someone in who is good enough to merit that from the front office. Because I do think stability, now they're in another position where they've got to find someone who, I don't think you want a first-time head coach in that situation. And the other guys are getting snapped off the board. You know, Jason Kidd has to write LeBron a thank you note because he just got a contract extension that was pretty much a result of the fact that the Lakers are looking for another coach. Ty Lue is going to get a very hefty contract extension that will be in part because, you know, the amount of it, not that he's getting it, but the amount of it will come down to the fact that the Lakers are sitting there definitely coveting him as well. So who are you getting to fill that job who is going to give you something that Darvin Ham didn't give you? And I'm curious who it's going to be. I don't know. I can't pick a name out there and say, I think Mark Jackson is interesting. I think Scotty Brooks is interesting. But I do wonder who it is, who they think is interesting. And then they can really stand behind because there will be more ups and downs. That's just what's going to happen.
Well, the Lakers roster construction is Rui and D'Lo can be inconsistent. And then you get inconsistent performance because you have inconsistent players and Darvin gets blamed. Thanks for carrying me today. Rachel Nichols.
Oh, please.
So I had a cigar flu game on Tuesday that Jason had to carry me.
Okay, so this is the key lime pie game?
This is the key lime pie. Most people, it's a night out in the town. Key lime pie and half a cigar knocks me out.
There you go.
I'm a weak man.
Now we know.
I need support.
Now we know.
Now we know. You've staked your claim. Thanks again.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.